All right, high rollers, today the state of online poker in the United States. What's the future? When will that massive US gaming market open up again? When will they be allowed to play online? Play a game that we all love, a game that may just be the American pastime. Shouldn't we be allowed to put on our pajamas in the comfy of our own homes and check raise somebody's ass? John Pappas, our guest today, he's the executive director of the Poker Players Alliance, the PPA, leading the way in this fight for players to license and regulate online poker. John, thanks for your time today. I know you're busy. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm happy to be here and happy to talk with you about not just being able to, check raise in your jammies, but, go all in your tux when you come home late at night from a formal event. Being able to play from your own comfort of your own home is a nice feeling, but it's also a nice feeling when it can be done in a safe and regulated environment, and that's what we're aiming for, to make sure that consumers have the safety and security of being able to play in their own home on sites that they can believe in.
I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, there's lotteries, there's all kinds of other online gaming. Poker is something, people go to work every day. They're responsible people. The poker community is great. It's our money. We should be free to do with it what we want, right?
That would seem to be the logical reasoning behind it, but often with politics and public policy, reason does not reign supreme. So we're in the business, the PPA is in the business of kind of educating lawmakers as to why this should be an activity that's allowable and what the benefits not only to the consumer are, but also to the state and to those that choose to regulate it. There's obviously a business opportunity here, but there's an opportunity to grow, create jobs and economic development in the state, and then bring in tax revenue. I mean, what we're seeing in New Jersey with regulated internet poker and internet gaming has been extremely positive. The revenue that they're bringing in is eclipsing what people could have thought possible when it started out. It started off very sluggishly, but they've worked the kinks out, and it is humming along right now, and it is expected that I think the market grew some 32% year over year from 2015 to 2016, and I'm looking at projections for 2017, and they're looking somewhere between, should grow again another, 20 to 25%. So that's a pretty impressive growth, and I think states would be wise to tap into that, and it's not only a good thing for the state, but it's a very good thing for the people who live in that state that want the freedom to play.
I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars, right? This is absolutely huge business.
Oh, it is a huge business. Poker on its own is a very big business. There is a harsh reality that poker players face with the online game on a state-by-state basis is that, you're going to have very limited player pools when only people in New Jersey can play with people in New Jersey, or only people in Delaware can play with people in Delaware. What we'd like to see is more states come on board and then have what they call compacting between those states, and that would really be a strong boost for the online poker market because, as poker players, we know this is a game we play against our peers. You need 9 other people sitting at the table, or at least 6 other people sitting at the table, to make it a compelling game. So that's hard to achieve when you have a limited kind of ring-fenced system, but unfortunately that's the case right now in America, and we need to bring more states on board so New Jersey and others can compact together and create kind of that vibrant, robust marketplace that consumers knew for so long in the U.S. when they were playing online.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be at the federal level. Now, you talked about politics there. I see on your website, the PPA.org, that Republican Senator Lindsey Graham brought up online poker today with Jeff Sessions during the confirmation hearings of the Attorney General nominee. And everything centers around this Wire Act, the RAWA, that seeks to ban online poker everywhere. Is that correct?
It does. It seeks to ban all forms of online gaming with specific exemptions in it, of course, because government loves to pick winners and losers. Yeah, to clarify, the hearing was not today. It was a couple weeks ago. I think there was another hearing for Sessions today, but the hearing and the clip that we have on our website, and I encourage people to go see it, is a little startling. Here we have the potential incoming Attorney General being asked by a leading U.S. Senator, will he seek to ban internet gambling? And that senator does not say no outright. He says it's something that he'll look into. He will review it, give it careful study, which is which is interesting because both Jeff Sessions and Lindsey Graham claim to be very strong in support of the rights of states to be able to make these determinations, yet they are both now looking at legislation and looking at ways that they could upend those states from offering internet gaming. So it's a hypocritical moment, and I think we highlight it pretty well in our video, and I encourage folks to take a look at it and just be mindful that this is the fight that we face. We're not only fighting to try to get states to pass good bills, but we're also fighting against the federal government to do something that could potentially be very bad.
Yeah, it really is a compelling video. And again, the website, go check it out, is theppa.org. Now, during that video with Lindsey Graham, you guys captioned this into the video. Quote, "Today, several states safely and responsibly regulate online poker, lotteries, and other forms of gambling. Nearly a dozen or more states are considering iGaming regulatory systems that are accountable and protect consumers. Creating a de facto federal iGaming prohibition usurps the states, violating principles of federalism and the 10th Amendment." I mean, this is serious business.
It certainly is. It is, and it's not just us saying it. There are a number of organizations that are dedicated to defending the 10th Amendment and states' rights that have come out in opposition of this, what they call RAWA, the Restoration of America's Wire Act, which essentially is federal legislation to ban states from offering online gaming. And, like I said, a number of groups, everything from the Competitive Enterprise Institute to the Democratic Governors Association. So you have both sides of the political spectrum have come out in opposition of this. And state governments, of course, oppose it because they don't want to be told by the federal government what they can and can't do. So you have this kind of traditional fight between the federal government and the state governments over what the federal powers ought to be. And we would side with states on this to say, hey, if a state wants to license and regulate internet poker, why would the federal government come in and deny them from being able to do it? And particularly since the technology is there to protect the consumers, the technology is there to make sure the games operate safely, and there's really no reason why the federal government would step in to deny that. So, but there are folks in the federal government that are seeking to do so.
You see brick and mortar casinos popping up in all these states. Every city seems to get one, and yet you can't play online poker. It just doesn't make sense. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the Trump card. Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Everybody's talking about him these days, good and bad. He's got the casino background. What's your take on Donald Trump and his presidency and what it might mean for people like me who want to play online poker?
Well, I think his instincts would be favorable. I think he would probably not want to mess with what states are doing. He obviously has a lot of business connections in New Jersey, and what I've mentioned about the New Jersey marketplace has been very successful. And I think he would be loath to try to upend what New Jersey has done. And I think that there's reason for optimism there. I don't expect, and in full candor, I don't expect Donald Trump to be the champion for internet gaming. But I can't imagine that he is going to stand. I hope he does not stand in the way. Like I said, there are some powerful political forces at play here, most namely for your listeners, if they're familiar with the name Sheldon Adelson.
Right.
Or Adelson, sorry, Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson is one of the richest people in the world, one of the richest in America, and he is a major political donor, and he is really the whole reason why there is even a discussion about banning internet gambling. He has said he would spend whatever it takes to ban internet gambling. He's made it his personal mission. This, along with a couple other high-profile issues, are his top issues. So that is the reason we're having this discussion, because one man, a casino owner, who's essentially a contrarian with the rest of the industry, companies like Caesars and MGM and Tropicana and Golden Nugget, they all see the value in extending their brands on the internet, being able to offer responsible internet gaming. But Adelson's taken a different view, and he's put his money where his mouth is, and he's supported a lot of candidates, including Donald Trump, over the years. And we have to be wary as citizens that what kind of influence that he might have. And I think that makes it all the more important that real everyday Americans make their voice heard, that say, hey, I want the freedom to be able to play. I want the protections that come with regulation. Don't take this away from me. politician XYZ, if that's Donald Trump, if that's your local representative, or that's the Attorney General of the United States. I think that these are all important people that we should be reaching out to as concerned Americans and poker players.
Well, he talks about being a proponent of business and reducing some red tape, so maybe he'll get on board, and maybe online poker will be back in the swing of things in the not too distant future. Now, from the recreational player standpoint, even some grinders who've had to move out of the States to continue on with their livelihood, it may seem like 2016 wasn't that productive. I mean, they still can't play online poker in America. But from doing some research for this interview, I find that you guys made great strides last year, setting yourself up for this year, right? I mean, it bodes well.
Yeah, it does, and it's always frustrating that things don't happen quicker, but things don't necessarily happen very quick in politics. I've been engaged in political advocacy work for nearly 20 years now, and doing the iGaming side of things, iPoker side of things for the last 9 years. So this is not unusual for things to happen in a progression. We saw bills pass by overwhelming majorities in Pennsylvania and in New York, only to get tripped up at the last minute in both of those states. But now, here in 2017, and we look back at what happened in 2016, and we can say, well, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, and we have the game plan set forth for our activity in 2017. And we feel very positive, particularly about a state like Pennsylvania, that we believe we can get across the finish line in 2017. And I think there's a lot of optimism, not just from our organization, but others that see Pennsylvania as a very likely state for a domino to fall.
Yeah, Pennsylvania and California, two important dominoes, correct?
Yeah, for sure. California's a little more tricky. Things were progressing nicely in California last year until they went south very quickly. There's a lot of dissension amongst the tribal interests in that state, and from my perspective, the tribes yield probably too much power in the political process there. So if one tribe isn't getting their way, they can easily muddy up the process for everybody else. And we've seen that saga in California for a long time. And, I don't know what 2017 is going to bring for California. I think people, after last year, kind of licked their wounds and retreated to their corners. But states like Pennsylvania and New York and Michigan seem a lot more optimistic in terms of industry is on board, lawmakers are on board, and it's really just a matter of kind of clearing a couple of hurdles.
Yeah, it really does sound like you guys are optimistic and very positive that you're making headway. Just going down your Twitter account today, it's all positivity. Again, Twitter is at PPA Poker. Two more quick questions. Does the fact that the WSOP is offering 3 online bracelet events give it some legitimacy and help you guys? And secondly, what can we as players do to help in your fight? What do you want us to do?
Yes, I think, showing that major tournament poker is receptive to online gaming is very positive, and I think the WSOP brand has been extremely helpful in kind of bridging that gap between what people see on TV and the game they play at home to the online game. So yes, I think it's a good thing, and the reality is that if we were to play have online poker tournaments, you could have much larger fields. If there were online poker tournaments that allowed for a global audience, the fields would be huge. $10,000 buy-in events would be much bigger than what you see at the main event in Las Vegas. So there's certainly a value to having these big brands putting on tournaments.
I mean, I can't even imagine if they offered a tournament at the World Series of Poker, online event, that everyone in the world could play. I mean, what would the field size be on that?
It would be huge. It would eclipse anything we've ever seen. There's no doubt about it. You put a bracelet up on something, and the value of the event becomes a lot more, right? I mean, it's not just about the money; it's about having that gold bracelet dangling from your wrist. So, it would be tremendous. I have to kind of come back a little bit to reality, because that's not going to happen anytime soon, where we're going to have a global marketplace playing on WSOP.com. But I think we could see in the next several years is multiple U.S. states working with Nevada and having bracelet events where people from all over the states could be able to play. And I think that would be a really tremendous step forward, and I think would get a lot more excitement for the game. And to answer your last question, how can people support the PPA and learn more about us? Well, I'd encourage you to go to our website at theppa.org. Follow us on Twitter, which is at PPA Poker, at PPA Poker on Twitter. We put out a lot of information there. And also on Facebook, which is at facebook.com/theppa. You can go visit us there. But go to our website. You can sign up for our weekly newsletter. We send a newsletter pretty much every single week of the year, updating players on what the activity is in our fight on a state-by-state basis, on a federal basis. And also at our website, you can donate to the PPA. We certainly welcome the contributions of poker players that care about this. The fight for our game is not free. The PPA spends considerable resources on lobbyists, public relations, our staff, and others to ensure that poker players' voices are heard. So you need the support of the poker community, not just as advocates, but as people who are invested in the game, have a little skin in the game, and are willing to contribute to our organization.
Well, absolutely. Let's support them, guys. The website, theppa.org, where you can donate. John Pappas, Executive Director of the Poker Players Alliance. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate your time today.
I really appreciate you having me on.